The birth of the great gods and goddesses, a Sumerian myth reborn. In the beginning, there was nothing but water, an endless, restless ocean that had no shore, no sky, no earth, and no time. This was the primordial sea called Namu, ancient and unshaped, the womb of everything that would ever exist. The Sumerians imagined her not as a void, but as a living, potent presence, a boundless mother whose depths held infinite potential. Namu was alone, but she lacked nothing. She surged and shifted in eternal darkness, unaware that her solitude would soon end. For within her waters, something stirred, forms growing like bright sparks inside a deep night. This stirring was the beginning of creation, not by deliberate design, but by a natural outpouring of her generative force. The first birth, An and Ki. From the formless ocean rose two beings, twins born from the same divine surge. The first was An, the god of the sky. He emerged as a dome of glittering, radiant expanse, his body forming the high heavens. Light, which had never been known until then, shimmered around him. He was vast, silent, and majestic, and his presence lifted the world upward. The second was Ki, the goddess of the earth. She unfolded beneath him like a fertile plain. Her body was soil and mountain, valley and riverbed in potential, though none yet existed. She was steady and grounded, the promise of land waiting to be shaped. Before anything else existed, An and Ki clung to each other, sky pressed to earth, inseparable. Creation lay dormant between them. But Namu, the primordial mother, knew more was needed. She awakened a new force, born from the union of An and Ki, the power that would drive the world forward. Enlil, the breath that separates heaven and earth. Into the close embrace of An and Ki came their son, Enlil, the stormbringer and lord of the wind. From the moment of his birth, he was restless. His breath was air itself, the first movement of atmosphere between heaven and earth. Enlil grew quickly, and he felt confined, pressed between his parents. In a moment that would define the cosmos, he took a mighty breath, his first true act, and forced An upward and Ki downward, separating sky from earth. This separation was not an act of rebellion, but of creation itself. The world gained space, air, direction, seasons, and dynamism. The Sumerians held this moment sacred. It symbolized the beginning of structure, order, and the cycle of life. Before Enlil, existence was fused and static. After him, the universe became a layered, active realm with defined domains. An ascended fully into the heavens, taking his place as king of the high gods. Ki remained below as the nourishing earth. And Enlil positioned himself between them, ruling the realm of air, storms, and authority. With this, the ultimate triad of Sumerian cosmology was formed. An, ruler of the heavens, Enlil, ruler of the air and decree, Ki, ruler of the earth's fertile body. But the universe still lacked form. It lacked direction, craft, and consciousness beyond the elemental. So Namu acted again. Namu's vision and the birth of Enki. Although An, Ki, and Enlil shaped the cosmos's structure, there was still no plan, no rivers, no beings, no tools, no wisdom. It was Namu who perceived this need. She held all knowledge in her waters, but she required a son who could manifest her ideas in the material world. So she shaped another child in the depths, Enki, also called Ea, the god of wisdom, magic, water, and creation. He emerged gleaming with intelligence, his eyes reflecting the deep waters of Namu's domain. Unlike his siblings, Enki did not come from the union of sky and earth. He was born directly from the primordial ocean, inheriting Namu's insight and creative vision. He saw the cosmic structure around him, heaven above, earth below, air between, and understood its potential and limitations. Enki descended into the freshwater abyss called the Apsu, making it his home. From there, he shaped designs that only a mind touched by the primordial could conceive: the patterns of rivers, the coursing veins of the earth, the languages of the gods, the measures of kingship, and the seeds of civilization. The Sumerians believed that reason and creativity, traits unique among the gods, came from Enki. His presence balanced Enlil's authority and An's celestial distance. Where Enlil ruled with decree, Enki ruled with understanding. Together, they would later guide humanity. But before humanity existed, the gods themselves had to be born. The young gods and goddesses rise. With the triad and Enki established, creation accelerated. Ki, now separated from An, gave birth to many younger gods who represented the forces populating the world. From her came the mountains, personified in deities like Ninhursag, the Great Mother and Lady of the Mountains; Nanna, the moon god; Utu, the sun god; Inanna, goddess of love and war; Ninurta, the warrior of storms. Different tablets give different lineages. Sumerian myth is fragmented, but they all emphasize that Ki's divine children filled the earth and heavens with purpose. Ninhursag, the mother of life. Ninhursag, also known as Ki's own divine aspect, became the one who shaped gods and humans alike. She symbolized both the nourishing earth and the capability to bring forth new life. Her role as mother made her central to creation. Nanna and Utu, moon and sun. Nanna's silver glow guided nighttime, and his journey across the heavens structured time. His son, Utu, the sun, became the bringer of justice and light, revealing what was hidden and illuminating the paths of gods and people. Inanna, passion and power. Born from Nanna, Inanna embodied contradictions: beauty and ferocity, fertility and destruction. She would later become one of the most worshipped deities in all Mesopotamia. Her birth symbolized complexity entering the divine sphere. The realm takes shape. As each new god and goddess entered existence, the universe gained another layer. Rivers flowed as Enki shaped underground waters. Mountains rose under Ki. Stars dotted An's celestial canopy. Winds and storms obeyed Enlil. Yet the gods soon desired something more than dominion. They wanted places to live and congregate. So Enki, with his cleverness, designed Engur, his temple in Eridu, the first city. The great gods followed, each receiving a sacred home built by the younger deities. But for life to thrive, creation needed organization, and for organization, the world needed decrees, laws that defined how everything interacted. These laws were called the Mi, sacred divine principles. Enki crafted and distributed them. Kingship, wisdom, art, music, truth, courage, emotions, ritual, craftsmanship, sexuality, warfare. Each was a cosmic building block, a directive that governed the universe. With the Me established, the gods completed their realm. Mountains stood firm, rivers carved land, the sun and moon traveled predictable paths, and the heavens maintained their order. The world was ready. But something unexpected happened. The burden of creation and the birth of humanity. Although the world thrived, many gods found themselves overwhelmed with the labor of maintaining creation. They shaped landscapes, tended the rivers, built temples, performed rituals, and upheld cosmic order. Lesser gods, called the Igigi, began to complain. Their protests echoed across Enlil's winds. The senior gods convened. Enki, ever perceptive, recognized that the system needed balance. So, he proposed a daring solution. Create beings who could share the labor, creatures of clay, animated by divine essence. With Namu's help and Ninhursag's life-giving hands, they shaped the first humans from the clay of the earth, mixed with the tears, or in some versions, the blood, of a sacrificed deity. This mixture gave humanity purpose, instinct, and devotion. The Sumerians believed that humans were made not from perfection, but from a blend of divine spirit and earthly material, meaning flawed, mortal, emotional, and yet capable of greatness. With humanity born, the lesser gods were freed from endless toil. Civilization began, and the responsibilities of gods shifted toward guiding, ruling, and teaching. But to understand the power of the great gods, one must look deeper into their origins and relationships. An, the silent sovereign. An, though the father of many gods, grew increasingly distant from earthly matters. Dwelling in the highest heaven, he presided over divine decrees, but rarely intervened. His presence reminded the Sumerians that some forces, like the sky, were beyond reach, eternal and unchanging. His children and grandchildren took on the practical roles of shaping and ruling the world. Enlil, architect of order. Enlil, responsible for separating An and Ki, served as the primary executive power. He granted kingship to humans, bestowed harvests, and commanded storms. His moods could bless or devastate. Floods, winds, and prosperity all stemmed from his will. In some myths, he brings the great flood to cleanse humanity. In others, he fathers Nana with Ninlil, in a story that illustrates both divine desire and consequence. The Sumerians respected Enlil, but feared him as well. Authority and unpredictability were both aspects of his nature. Enki, the gentle, clever creator. In stark contrast to Enlil, Enki was the friend of humans. When Enlil sought to destroy humankind during times of disorder, it was Enki who warned a man, variously called Ziusudra or Atrahasis, by speaking through a reed wall. Enki's wisdom guided kings, shaped rivers, and brought fertility to the land. He embodied intelligence, compassion, and innovation. These traits were essential to Sumerian identity. Irrigation, engineering, writing, and law all mirrored Enki's gifts. Ninhursag and the balance of life. Ninhursag continued to shape gods and humans alike. In myths where Enki grows sick from consuming forbidden plants, Ninhursag heals him by giving birth to new deities who correspond to each part of his ailing body. This process reinforced a core Sumerian belief. Life is cyclical, and healing often comes through growth, birth, and regeneration. Inanna and the expansion of power. Inanna's birth added complexity to the divine order. She sought to expand her domain and authority, even descending into the underworld in pursuit of more power and knowledge. Her presence signaled that the universe was not static. Ambition, love, conflict, and passion were forces that shaped mortal and divine realms alike. Why the myth mattered to Sumerians. The birth of the great gods and goddesses was more than a story. It was a blueprint for understanding existence. For the Sumerians, this myth explained cosmic structure, sky, earth, air, waters, justified divine authority, especially Enlil's rule, introduced wisdom and civilization through Enki, highlighted the sacred feminine from Namu to Ninhursag to Inanna, defined humanity's purpose as partners and laborers in sustaining the world, demonstrated moral complexity. Gods could be benevolent or harsh, unified political and spiritual authority through the me. The myth conveyed that creation was not spontaneous chaos, but a gradual layering of forces: fertility, order, intelligence, ambition, each essential to existence. A closing reflection. Creation continues. Even after the great gods were born and humanity took its place in the world, the Sumerians believed creation never truly ended. Every ritual reenacted divine processes. Every city mirrored the structure of the heavens. Every king served as a mediator between mortal and divine realms. In their worldview, the gods were not distant abstractions. They were living principles woven into the landscape. Enlil in the storm winds, Enki in the flowing rivers, Inanna in the pulse of desire and conflict. And beneath it all, Namu's primordial waters still flowed unseen, reminding all beings, godly or mortal, that creation begins in mystery and returns